or blue in this country. The only color that matters is green, because we live in the United Corporations of America.
What's up, everybody? How are we? Welcome to Status Coup. I am Placone, your host. The date is December 5th, 2024. I'm drinking black tea today. I don't know why I pointed that out. That's really not necessary. But I'm drinking. I don't know. It makes me feel. I don't usually drink black tea during a stream, but I was just, it's winter time. It's a little cooler out. I was in a black tea kind of mood. We got an amazing show for you today. So first of all, a lot of today's show is going to focus around the healthcare crisis. Now, big picture, it's interesting to me how we've stopped talking about the healthcare crisis in the United States. Remember when Medicare for All was in our zeitgeist? Everyone was talking about it. And then the Bernie movement was decimated twice. And now all of a sudden we don't talk about that anymore, because we're worried about a descent of full-fledged fascism, which I completely get. But we've really lost track of the healthcare crisis, which, by the way, is connected to so many of the other issues plaguing not just our country, but the frickin' world. If we had universal healthcare in the United States, do you think the war machine would run as smoothly? It wouldn't. You know why? Because people wouldn't be tethered to shitty jobs. And people wouldn't need to join the military because they're completely desperate and they have no other way of anything resembling stability if they don't join the military. If we had universal health care, anyway, we're going to get into that. We're going to dive into some contemporary stories. We're going to talk a little bit about France, the vote of no confidence that's happening in France. Smash the like button. Smash it. Don't even just put it, show it who's boss. Smash that like button. Tell your friends. Share the stream. Leave a super chat. We're going to get to all your thoughts at the end of the stream. And I'm hosted solo today, so I want to talk to you. I want to hear from you. And it also helps support Status Coup, keep this show on the air. But we're going to start with another domestic situation here. And that is a situation over at Whole Foods. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Whole Foods. Some of you may shop there because it's your only option. I get it. We're all in late-stage capitalism. We got to do what we have to do to get by. But Whole Foods is part of the Jeff Bezos empire. Jeff Bezos, of course, owns Whole Foods. And turns out he runs it pretty much the same as Amazon. But some workers are striking back. This is a compilation put together by More Perfect Union. Colin, let's go to that video.
People are surveilled. The rate at which people are at work is pushed to go faster. I think Whole Foods treats us more like robots than something that they truly care about.
Our goal is not just to help Whole Foods market as a business. We want to be a positive change in the world.
When you take that mask off, it's just another corporation like all the others. They're no different than an oil company or, a Walmart even. I see it with my coworkers that do e-shopping. That surveillance is so intense that they can't breathe.
I sometimes work in the e-commerce department. That is the workers who go around the store shopping orders that are put in online. They take items off of the shelf and put it into bags in the cart and then seal up those bags and send it off to whoever ordered it.
However big or small the order is, you do have a certain time frame to finish that order before it's considered late.
Workers say they are surveilled by the second and down to the item. She also works at an Amazon fulfillment center.
It's like the same structure, the speed that we have to go to make sure every order is out, whether it be packages or groceries.
That job is heavily surveilled and the metrics are watched closely.
You just got to keep constantly doing, like if you think you can even use the bathroom, forget it. It's really awful.
Since I've started working in that department less than a year ago, the rate, it's called the UPH, which is units per hour, of how many units we take off the shelf per hour has been raised twice.
It was about 65, which is very reasonable. Everybody can do that. I went up to 80.
Most workers cannot attain that goal every single day.
And then it went up to 100.
I think it demotivates people when there's a rate that we're supposed to work at that is impossible.
I've injured myself. I've gotten hurt personally, just trying to speed at enough pace to just keep my numbers up. Therefore, I hit my head, and my management was like, well, shop one order and see how you're feeling. And if it gets worse, then you can go home.
Jesus.
So that, to me, that was the day where I was like, yeah, they don't give two shits. They don't care.
I've been feeling like, they've been taking advantage of us more and more lately.
It's what you see when businesses grow to the size of monopolies. It's all about control. It's all about making as much profit in as little effort in cost as possible.
Workers at this location say they start at about $16 an hour.
Most people can't afford rent on that.
People have to work 2 jobs just to survive.
The estimated living wage for a single person with no children in Philadelphia is $22.29 an hour.
God forbid they want to start a life, get an apartment, have kids or something.
It's frustrating, very frustrating. I think we're all frustrated.
Upstairs, off of the sales floor, we have a break room. Outside of that break room, right at the entrance, there's a whiteboard that management updates. The metric that is written the largest is the sales from the previous day.
You come in and you see a whiteboard that, kind of spits in your face like, yo, this is how much money we make, but you're not getting none of that.
Their founder compared unions to having herpes. Current Whole Foods CEO Jason Beekle has used less direct anti-union messaging.
If a store wants to unionize, your response to it is what?
We feel our best opportunity is having a direct connection to our team members.
In a statement to More Perfect Union, a Whole Foods Market spokesperson said that the company remains committed to listening to team members and pointed to their open door policy as evidence of that.
They have the open door policy because they like to talk to us one-on-one. Because when you're talking to someone one-on-one, you don't have the backing of all of your coworkers. The open door policy is a way to
Amen. Yeah, he nailed it. Yeah, they have an open door policy so they can talk to you one-on-one. Absolutely. That guy, Ben from Whole Foods, absolutely nailed it. Wow. So, look, avoid Whole Foods if you can. The bad news is basically all of our grocery chains do the same shit. There is no, I mean, it really is true. There is no ethical consumption under capitalism. I mean, you do the best you can. I live in Los Angeles where there are plenty of options, so I'm able to avoid Whole Foods. But I mean, in the big scheme of things, it's just as consumers, we're just kind of stuck in the system just like everyone else. And these workers are completely being exploited as par for the course. They're doing the same things they do over at Amazon. At the Amazon warehouses, they do the same thing. Workers have to keep up with a unreasonable expectation of production per hour. There was even that situation where they were using shock mechanisms. They were having those like kind of things people would put on their wrists that would kind of jolt them if they made a wrong move. They said it was to help them. It was pretty much a shock collar. So this is absolutely par for the course, not surprising at all, but still completely and utterly terrible. Colin, let's go to the piece about Mr. Jeff Bezos, and he's going to be apparently the variety piece about Jeff Bezos and Trump. Let's go there. Jeff Bezos is willing to work with Trump to remove regulatory barriers. We need a growth orientation in this country. Jeff Bezos, the guy who is a billionaire, might become a trillionaire. And how was he able to do that? He was able to do that because we have a country that allows you to exploit people. And he exploited everybody on his way up. There was no antitrust regulations have been thrown his way. We had a chance at some antitrust regulation in the digital sphere. It got shot down by Chuck Schumer waiting out the clock. This type of laissez-faire neoliberal nonsense that lets the plutocrats do whatever they want has allowed Jeff Bezos to become a billionaire. And he's exploited everyone along the way. No one makes $1 billion ethically, okay? It doesn't happen. Anyone who has $1 billion, somebody either directly or indirectly got screwed. Now, you might be saying, Ron, why do you even have that indirect qualifier? Because there are some people that have $1 billion that I think you could argue didn't directly screw people over. The example I like to use is Paul McCartney. I'm a big Beatles fan. I'm sure a lot of y'all are too. And whenever you see apologists for billionaires online or whatever, that's their big whataboutism. They're like, well, you're saying all billionaires exploited people. Well, what about Paul McCartney? What about the Beatles? You love the Beatles. Yeah, I do. But here's the thing. There's been a lot of institutional racism in the music industry over the years that the Beatles and bands like them benefited from. Is it their fault? No, it's not their fault. But would they have $1 billion if that kind of stuff didn't exist? Probably not. They'd still be very, 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 very rich, but probably not billionaires. So, yeah, Paul McCartney might not have directly screwed people over, but the system that he was on the benefiting end of screwed over a lot of frickin' people. You see how that works? So, yeah, not his fault as an individual, but you get it. All right, sorry, got off on a tangent there. Let's get back to this variety piece. So Jeff Bezos, my point is Jeff Bezos, the guy who benefited from, the most barbaric capitalistic society that the United States is, which, by the way, is any capitalistic society. It does the same shit every time it's tried. It always has throughout history. But he is worried there's not enough room for growth for people like him in the United States. Why can't he be a trillionaire? He's really being held back. All right, so here's what's going on. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos said he's willing to work with President-elect Donald Trump to dismantle government regulations. What are those regulations? What are these regulations? Which, by the way, every time you see the word regulation and it's somebody like Jeff Bezos or anyone like that using it, substitute the word protection. Because that's what they're governmental protections. Protection from what? Being exploited, like the people in that video we just saw. So Amazon founder Jeff Bezos says he's willing to work with Donald Trump to dismantle government protections that hinder economic growth for people like him. The U.S. imposes excessive permitting and regulation, Bezos said. The guy who has storefronts all over the country, who is responsible for 50% of all online commerce. The guy who owns a grocery chain, who owns a newspaper. None of the shit he does. You shouldn't be able to own that much stuff and own a newspaper of note. But he says there's too much regulation in the United States. That's hysterical. We need a growth orientation in this country, said the billionaire. The day after the election, Bezos congratulated Trump because it's a big club. It's a big club. You will listen to some liberals who, probably have well intentions. Some of them, maybe not all of them, but some of them probably do, who will tell you, well, Jeff Bezos, he's not so bad. He has Whole Foods. They're committed to healthier foods. And he's not a Republican. Yeah, it's a big club. It's a big club. Jeff Bezos is a capitalist. Whole Foods is a scam. And they're exploiting their workers. All right. So anyway, Bezos congratulated Trump on an extraordinary political comeback and decisive victory. It's all a game for those people. It's all a game. They don't care about anything. All right. I'm actually very optimistic this time around, Bezos said of Trump at the DealBook conference. Why would you even care? You're rich. You're above it all anyway. He seems to have a lot of energy around reducing protections. If I can help him do that, I'm going to help him. Bezos shared his current impressions of Trump. What I've seen so far, he is calmer than he was the first time in the White House and more settled. Regarding Elon Musk, who's a rival of Bezos and has become a top advisor to Trump, Bezos said he did not think Musk would misuse his influence with the incoming administration to harm competitors. I've had a lot of success in life by not being cynical, said Bezos. Oh, boy. Buckle in, y'all. Buckle in. It's a big club. It's a big club. By the way, another reason it's a big club here. I just saw this. This just came across my Twitter. I'll mention this before we dismount from the topic here. But RFK and Donald Trump RFK and Donald Trump here. Hold on. I just tweeted this out. I want to make sure I get the company right. RFK and Donald Trump are dining with Pfizer and Lilly execs at Mar-a-Lago right now. So I know there's some people who are still being duped by RFK, and they think he's actually going to do some of the stuff he said. Like, I disagree with RFK on a ton of stuff. I disagree with him on a ton of stuff. But the idea of not having big pharma commercials, I think that's a good thing. They shouldn't be able to have commercials the way they do. I think that reining that in is a good thing. The way he would do it would probably be a disaster. It also, guess what? He's not. Look, they're having dinner with a bunch of big pharma execs. It's a freaking joke. It's a freaking joke. The other idea that he had that I think is a good idea is getting Coca-Cola to use cane sugar. I mean, talk about a very small victory in the big scheme of things. But anytime you can combat the corn, like corn syrup and all that stuff, we have a bunch of agreements with that industry because they decided to use most of our farmland to produce that garbage. That is not only a waste of land, but it's bad for you. So anytime you can combat against that, that's a good thing. I remember I tweeted about that, and some people were like, well, I don't even drink Coca-Cola. Why do I care? You should care. I don't really drink Coca-Cola either, but you should care because it's combating against the corn syrup industry that has a huge market share here in the United States. It is part of the reason why a lot of our food is garbage. So any big company diverting away from that, I'm not saying cane sugar is healthy for you. Of course it isn't. But any big company diverting away from that, that's a good thing. Is RFK actually going to get that done? I highly doubt it. Because at the end of the day, he doesn't want to ruffle any powerful feathers. So it's a big club. Bezos, Trump, RFK, big CEOs, big executives. They're all the same club. And you are not in that club. We're in the club of working people and the people at Whole Foods that are trying to unionize. Hopefully they succeed in that effort. The Amazon union effort has been ongoing. This is a new one. Shout out to More Perfect Union for shining a light on this. And we're going to go over to our other big domestic pillar of the day, and that is the healthcare crisis in the United States. First of all, before we do, smash the like button. Friendly reminder, smash the like button. Leave a super chat, would you? I want to talk to you. I want to hear your stories. I want to hear from you. Shout out to Colin on the ones and twos, by the way. And shout out to Jordan Cheriton. Jordan came at you a little bit earlier. We're going to be talking about some of the same stuff that's going on. But before we go to what happened with the UnitedHealthcare CEO, which I'm sure you've already heard that by now, we're going to go to another story concerning Anthem. So let's go to the Democracy Now! Piece, Colin. Let's start there. Anthem insurance plans are going to stop paying for anesthesia if surgeries run past the time limit. Can you believe this? Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield in Connecticut, New York, and Missouri has announced it will stop paying for patients' anesthesia for the full length of surgeries if the procedure goes over an allotted time limit. By the way, who determines that time limit? The insurance companies. So some, bean counter tool of the establishment who works for some of the most evil companies on the frickin' planet is going to decide how much anesthesia someone needs when they're in a surgery. That's the person decide, not the anesthesiologist, not the doctor, not the surgeon, the frickin' insurance middle people. They're going to determine how much anesthesia you need to get your heart surgery or get your triple bypass or get your whatever it is. I would say to deliver a baby, but I think that is exempt from this evil idea. Which still makes it completely evil beyond redemption, but maybe like a modicum slightly less evil. All right, we won't apply it to people giving birth. Wow, you're so kind. Thank you. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield of Connecticut. Donald Arnold, president of the American Society of Anesthesiologists, said this is just the latest in a long line of appalling behavior by commercial health insurers looking to drive their profits up at the expense of patients and physicians. All right, so that's what's been going on recently. Let's go over to the NPR piece real quick and see if there's anything extra there that we missed Colin, and then we're going to go to the update that we have, because it turns out, folks, things are changing. But all right, so this is from NPR, which stands for Nice Polite Republicans. Anthem plans to cut time limits on anesthesia coverage. That's a hard word to say and spell, by the way. When I was looking this up today and I was Googling stuff, I realized anesthesia, not a word I'm great at spelling. And apparently, as evident by this stream, not a word I'm fantastic at saying. All right, so this is alarming to doctors. Doctors and policymakers are sounding the alarm after one of the country's largest health insurers announced that starting next year in certain states, again, those states as of right now, New York, Missouri, and Connecticut, although hold that thought, we have an update coming up. It will no longer pay for anesthesia care if the surgery procedure goes beyond a particular time limit that they make up. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield says starting in February, it will use metrics known as physician work time values. This is out of a dystopian freaking novel. Like, this is, if you pitched the contemporary United States as a dystopian movie, no one would buy it because they'd say that's too unrealistic. But no, this is real. This is reality. So it's going to target the number of minutes reported for anesthesia services. Claims submitted with reported time above the established numbers a minute will only pay up to the CMS established amount. It is not clear which states will see the policy rolled out first. Well, let's go to the update now. So, Colin, let's go to the NBC Connecticut piece. So that was happening basically yesterday and today. And now we have a little bit of an update. State comptroller says Anthem Insurance will not limit coverage on anesthesia in Connecticut. So far, Connecticut has reported that that's been rolled back. Now, there's some other reports out there that are saying all the states are rolling it back, that Anthem's rolling it out completely. As of the streaming of this, I have not been able to confirm that. The only thing I've been able to confirm is Connecticut. But it could be, I mean, I have a feeling that it might be everywhere. But here's what's going on so far. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield will not implement a policy to limit coverage of anesthesia, according to the state comptroller. Anthem had announced the new policy last month. It told patients that it was going to change how it evaluated billed time starting February 1st, 2025, and policyholders could file a claim dispute if they disagreed with the claim reimbursement decision. After hearing from people across the state about this concerning policy, my office reached out to Anthem, and I'm pleased to share this policy will no longer be going to effect here in Connecticut. It's unclear when the decision to shelf the policy in Connecticut was made. What is clear, it wasn't pressure overnight. Seems like it kind of might have been pressure overnight, actually, considering what has been happening recently. I've been fighting on this for a bit of time, so I'm proud of the fact to have led the charge with my anesthesiologist colleagues. In a letter from Anthem's Senior Director of Government Relations to Gordon dated November 22nd, 2024, Anthem highlighted the concerns of the senator, but indicated the policy would not impact Connecticut anesthesia providers as they are exempt from this update. The letter indicates twice Connecticut anesthesiologists would not be impacted. Gordon went on to say the letter didn't completely satisfy his concerns. This is not good patient care policy. No doctor would think it would be because we understand patient care. A spokesperson for Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield in Connecticut released a statement on Thursday afternoon. That's today. So they're blaming this on misinformation. Here's what they're saying. There has been significant widespread information about an update to our anesthesia policy. As a result, we have decided to not proceed with this policy change. To be clear, it never was and never will be the policy of Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield to not pay for medically necessary anesthesia services. The proposed update to the policy was only designed to clarify the appropriateness of anesthesia consistent with well-established clinical guidelines. This is an example of somebody using their marketing degree for the most evil shit they can. That's what that is. That is somebody with a marketing degree using that degree for pure evil and proving an old Bill Hicks bit right. If you don't know what I'm referring to, after the show today, Google Bill Hicks marketing. Enjoy. Thank me later. Yeah, it's not misinformation. We laid out the policy for you. We laid out the policy for you that they're going to have this measurement that they make up that says how long you need anesthesia for. And if it's more than that, they ain't paying. That's what it is. So this statement from them is complete bullshit. What this statement should really says is, hey, we got caught. there was enough public outcry that we knew we were going to be effed if we tried to move forward for this. Plus, they might have been paying attention to some of the stuff that's been going on in the news. And so we're not going to go forward with this evil as hell policy. Because that's just pure evil. There's no other word for it. I know I've been saying that word a lot today. But what other word comes to mind? Our healthcare system of exploitation is pure evil. The theme of it is pure evil. We are going to make a profit center out of human beings. We're going to make a profit center out of human beings' health. And this goes into the bigger picture. And I know I talked about this on a short video not too long ago. This goes into the bigger picture of what the United States is as a country. See, countries, when they happen, usually they're under the assumption of, hey, the whole purpose of a country is to make this place a decent place to live for people, where we can exist in peace and harmony and have a quality of life, and everybody kind of does their share to make that happen. And we're not going to always agree on what those best methods are, but we're going to do the best we can. And maybe we'll do this crazy thing called democracy, so everyone gets a say on such a thing. In the United States, they were like, let's just have a free-for-all. So the most powerful got all the power, got all the wealth, and they decided, let's have a system where we just exploit everybody here, and we'll call it freedom. And that brings us to present day. So when you are born in this country, it's not what services are out there for you, what opportunities are out there. It's how can we make money off of you? Well, gee, I know how you can make money off a human. Make something that they absolutely need, i.e. healthcare, a profit center, and make it really expensive. Let's make education a profit center while we're at it, and let's make that more expensive. Let's have the state take care of nothing, but let's tax people anyway. Do you ever wonder about that? Do you ever wonder how your tax bill is not really all that different from somebody in Europe? I mean, in some cases, yeah, they might pay a little bit more than you. In other cases, they might not pay more at all. But they actually get something for theirs and you don't get anything. Do you ever notice that? And then propaganda is just force-fed back at you, and you take it. Well, in America, we have low taxes. Look at that high tax bill over Europe. It's not that different, but they actually get something. It'd be like if you paid $6, or I paid $6 for something, you paid $5 for something, and you're like, oh, look at that guy. He paid $6 for something. I only paid $5. But for your $5, you get nothing. And for my $6, I get free college, healthcare, living wages. I get a society with decent social services all over the place. I get job support. I get pharmacies that have doctors that I can see for free if I ever need to. I get housing that's not through the roof because there's protections on housing practices. I get affordable food because there's not a monopoly on the grocery chains. That's what I get for my $6. I get all that stuff for my $6. And you know what all that stuff is going to save me in the long run? A lot more than a fucking dollar. And you paid $5 and you got nothing. You got nothing. That's the United States. If you weren't sure of the scenario here, the $5 person was the United States. It's oh man. So Anthem is backing off of that, at least in Connecticut, as of the recording of this. Let me see if there's been an update. I checked like right before we logged on. And so far, the only thing, I mean, some people said they're backing off completely, but then they didn't have anything other than the Connecticut thing. It's like, well, are they backing off in all states or just Connecticut? So let me see if there's like an update. All right. So there's this piece from Axios. All right. So there's this piece from Axios that's from 2 hours ago. Let's see if there's, but I'm not sure if there. Here, Colin, I'm going to send this to you that you could put it up on the screen. Shout out to Colin on the ones and twos, by the way. Colin is the backbone of Status Coup. And there we go. All right. Axios. All right. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield calls off surgery anesthesia cap. A major health insurance company is backing off of a controversial plan to limit coverage of anesthesia, according to public officials. So that I feel like they're just referring to the Connecticut thing. Because so far, like the Connecticut official is the only quote that I've been able to find. So I don't know. All right. So here, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield recently decided to no. All right. So this is just a summary of what their covered plans in Connecticut, New York, and Missouri. So is it everywhere or is it just Connecticut so far? All right. So not quite sure. Oh wait, here we go. They do have some. There is an update. Okay, check this out. After hearing from people across the state about this concerning policy, my office reached out to Anthem. So this is from the Connecticut comptroller. All right, now here's something. Oh crap. Here's something from the New York governor. Okay, we pushed Anthem to reverse course, and today they will be announcing a full reversal of this misguided policy, said New York Governor Kathy Hochul. Okay, so now there's been a comment from New York. All right, I'm looking for Missouri. I don't see Missouri. Did Missouri say anything? I guess Missouri was like, screw it. Maybe Missouri doesn't care. So, by the way, scroll down to the bottom. I wanna make sure everybody scroll down to the bottom there, Colin, because they do point out that the quote from the the report was updated. All right, sorry, that's just for me to the quote from the governor from New York was not there when I originally looked at this article, because I was like, well, I looked at this article, but they didn't. It was updated with the statement from the New York governor, which is great. All right, so we know that it's at least in 2 of the 3 states. I think it'll likely just be they're going to reverse the policy completely. Because why would they just roll out the policy in 1 state? That's ridiculous. So chances are they're just going to reverse it. But as of right now, we have not heard anything from Missouri. I don't know. Maybe Missouri. What if there was some state official in Missouri that was like, we're just going to let them do it? I mean, honestly, our state literally sounds like misery. It rhymes with misery. So I don't know. We're just going to let them cap our anesthesia. We're thinking about all the people, all the CEOs at Anthem, and all the bigwigs over in Anthem, and they probably got holiday shopping to do. So we'd like to save them money by capping our anesthesia that we need for life-saving procedures. Drinking black tea today. Drinking black tea. And this is the name of my neighborhood. It says San Pedro on it. These are some of the logos of my neighborhood, San Pedro. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, you get it. So let's go over to what's going on at United. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys heard this. And one can't help but notice that, these Anthem decided to change their mind about this in light of what happened yesterday. Let's go to the CNN piece. Now, I know Jordan did a longer video on this. We won't spend too much time on it. Smudge fingerprint, latest clue in the hunt for gunman who killed the UnitedHealthcare CEO. So there were the markings on the bullet shells that made it sound like depose, delay, deny, defend. Delay, deny, defend, which is a popular phrase in the insurance industry. Which, by the way, how evil is that, by the way? How evil is that that's a popular phrase in the insurance industry? Delay, deny, defend. Delay, take as long as possible to get to a claim. Deny the claim, then defend your choice to, and then just wear the person down. So the CEO of UnitedHealthcare was shot out on the streets of Manhattan. I'm sure a lot of you know that already. That's been all over the news. The person who did it allegedly had some kind of situation. Maybe they were denied care, or someone they loved denied care. It affected their life. And this happened. Now, we're not going to spend too much time on this specifically, because I know it's been talked about ad nauseum. And I know Jordan did a video, but I will point out a few things. So first of all, let's see what United is doing as a company. Let's go to that other piece about the artificial intelligence component to this. So this is something that United specifically does. Health insurers are sued over use of artificial intelligence to deny medical claim. With the surge of interest in AI, it should be no surprise that health insurers have come under scrutiny concerning their use of AI predictive tools. The question is whether health insurers are using their AI predictive tools properly in accordance with state and federal law, or whether they're being deployed solely as cost-saving measures. I have a feeling it's the latter. I don't know. Call me crazy. Two recent class actions allege that two of the nation's largest health insurers, Cigna and UnitedHealthcare, have crossed the line by integrating AI predictive tools into their system to automate claim denials for Medicare for medical necessity. So basically, they were using this AI algorithm to determine whether or not people should get the care that they need. And they were using these AI algorithms to deny people care. And guess what? The algorithms often said they didn't need the care. And guess what? The algorithms were usually freaking wrong. And what did that lead to? Colin, let's go to the tweet that I sent about this that shows the graph. Yeah. All right. So let's make that graph a little bigger so people can see it. So that's United at the bottom there. United is at the bottom. They have the most denied claims. 32%. That's a lot. That's more than Anthem. Anthem, who wants to deny you your anesthesia, even they don't deny as many claims as United. United decided to use a robot to deny people claims. Also, I'll remind everybody that 643,000 people file medical bankruptcy in the United States, something that's completely preventable. There's no reason for it. People file bankruptcy due to medical bills. Even worse than that, thousands and thousands of people a year die due to lack of health care in the United States. Thousands of people. They die due to lack of health care in the United States. So, I don't condone violence, but this is a system that is evil beyond comprehension that cannot continue. This system needs to change. And guess what? Every other industrialized nation in the world has figured it out. Every other one. We are the only nation that does it like this. The only industrialized nation that does healthcare this way. Even ones that have more privatization, because some people, they're like, oh, well, Switzerland has tons of rules that those companies can't do this shit. And by the way, Switzerland has worth healthcare because of that. But Switzerland, they have private companies, but there's tons of rules they have to follow that they cannot do what the health insurance companies in the United States do. They can't do it. So this is a crisis that needs to come back into our conversation. This is a crisis that we cannot ignore. And this is just, I mean, again, and look, I do not like to speak. I don't like to be, celebratory in the death of anybody. That's nothing I feel comfortable doing. I don't like to even speak ill of the dead in most cases. And look, maybe it's a little bit of mysticism that's still floating around in me. Maybe it's because I have received death threats myself in my life. But, I don't like doing that kind of, which as a comedian has actually hurt me a little bit over the years. Because a lot of comics, it's like, you want to be the first to just tweet something that, people don't want to laugh at, but they're going to laugh at anyway. And I'm not good with that sort of thing. When mortality's involved, I don't I just rather, I don't have anything nice to say either. So I just choose not to say anything at all. It's one of the first lessons my mom taught me. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. When it came to the United CEO, I did not have anything nice to say. I chose not to say anything at all. But I will say this, the people who are tone policing other people, I mean, everything I just described to y'all, that's just me. That's my choice as an individual. That's just me. And I don't impose that on anybody else. That's my choice. That's part of who I am. And I'm not saying I'm right or wrong or better or worse than anybody else. But I will say the people who are tone policing other people online and who are virtue signaling around what happened to the UnitedHealthcare CEO, my question to them, do you virtue signal and do you kind of do you have empathy and sympathy and emotions for the thousands of people who die due to lack of healthcare each year? The thousands of people who died because of rules that person helps orchestrate? Do you virtue signal around that too? Because that's a lot of tweets, by the way. That's like hundreds of tweets a day. So if you're going to virtue signal around the CEO and around people talking about the CEO, do you virtue signal around that other stuff too? I hope so. And I will say this, the people who are virtue signaling about the United CEO, they are the same people and tone police, the people who are tone policing around the United CEO, they are the same people who would tone police somebody who just got denied life-saving care because of their insurance. The same people, the people tone policing over that CEO, they would tone police over that too. They would tone police somebody who just got denied their insulin, or somebody who can't afford the medicine they need or they're going to die, or somebody who was just denied anesthesia and they're upset about it. They would tone police that person too. So when you're on Twitter or Blue Sky or anywhere else and you see people tone policing about the CEO, just remember, they tone police about that other stuff too. And if you yourself were tone policing about such a thing, ask yourself, whose side are you on? Because sometimes your quest for the moral high ground crowds your judgment. Maybe you don't like to speak ill of the dead. That's fine. I'm weird about that stuff too. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being that way. It's fine. But you certainly don't have to virtue signal. You certainly don't have to tone police. You have the option to just say nothing at all. That's my take on it. So let me know your thoughts. Leave me your super chats. Smash the like button. Smash it. Smash it. And yeah, it's time for and I get it with Trump coming into power and keep in mind, Joe Biden, his big promise, as soon as he took office, Joe Biden said he was going to give a public option, which isn't anywhere close to enough, but would be better than where we're at now. And he completely abandoned that promise. He just completely like it's like he never said it. In fairness, he probably didn't remember that he said that, but whatever. So I get it that, we've just gotten so far away from Medicare for all. You don't even see people online talk about it. Hardly ever. You hardly ever see people talk about it. And by the way, at the end, I'm going to plug an event that's going to help restart this conversation. Did I mention I'm drinking black tea today? I'm drinking black tea today. It feels good. Black tea's, I'm a coffee guy. I've always been a coffee guy. But man, tea is refreshing. I started drinking tea. This is such a cliche, but honestly, I got into tea. I've always been kind of into tea. Like I like it, but then you just kind of forget about it. It's something you don't think about often. But then the first time I went over to the UK, drank a lot of tea over there. That's what they do. It's a food group over there. And kind of got bit by the bug. Been more of a tea drinker ever since. And I've been cutting back on my caffeine a little bit, which I'm proud of. So sometimes it's like a nice little pick-me-up in the afternoon is a good cup of black tea. All right. Anyway, so Colin, what's up? Did I talk about black tea too much? Is Jordan mad? I'm sorry. Ron, it's Colin. Shut the fuck up about the black tea. Talk about what's going on. Update.
Before we go to the next subject, I just wanted to real quick say we got right now we got 1,600 people watching. So if you guys are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We've been covering these types of healthcare stories and all that, both here talking with people and stuff like that, and also on the ground talking with people like Scott Denor, whose son had lost insurance and then died shortly after, and different stories like that. So definitely make sure you subscribe as we go into this new presidency, and I'm sure lots of the health stories are not going to go away anytime soon.
No. No, absolutely. Yeah, folks, please. And also, I'll add this for those of you who are new here. First of all, welcome. Welcome to Status Coup. We do a lot of on the ground journalism here. That's what we do. That's what sets us apart from a lot of the other channels and a lot of the other networks. We do on the ground journalism. That's what we're dedicated to. We have covered a ton of healthcare protests. We have covered a ton of Palestine protests. We've covered anti-war protests. We've covered extremist protests. We've covered all kinds of stuff. We are on the ground telling the stories. We are the only outlet that was there for the entirety of the UAW strike. We were there every day, start to finish. We covered East Palestine in a way no one else did. We're the only people, one of the only people. There's a few others, but we are among the only people that will not let the East Palestine story die. We were on the ground a lot in Flint, to the point where Jordan Sheraton published a book about it. So that's what goes on here at Status Coup. And there's even room for me. There's even room for me in my clown shoes, showing up every so often. So we got a big tent, but in a cool way, not in like the Democratic Party way, in a cool way, a cool big tent. Does that make sense? Sure. And so welcome. Welcome. Please make sure you're subscribed. It's they unsubscribe people. It is a thing that happens. Please make sure you're subscribed. And if you can, please join us. StatusCoup.com/join. For $5 a month or $10 a month, you can help support on the ground journalism. Help us cover stories that the corporate media is failing at. StatusCoup.com/join. And you get some perks too. It's not all, I mean, we do members calls where you get to talk to everybody. We do some cool events online and elsewhere. It's a good time. So last thing I want to talk about a little bit today is what's going on in France. I'm always fascinated by France, I gotta say, because over in France, they do not tolerate much. They strike, they protest, and they shut things down. They shut it down in France. And that's something that's really hard for us here. Now, by the way, let's tie this back to healthcare. Why do they shut shit down in France? Because in France, their healthcare isn't tied to their job. So when they got to go on strike, they just freaking do it because they're not worried about, and also they don't have a living wage crisis. I mean, it's beyond just healthcare. It's also the living wage crisis. So they're not worried that they're going to go under if they miss one paycheck. They're not worried that they're going to lose their health insurance if they go on strike at a job. They don't have to worry about that. So they go on strike. And guess what happens? They have one of the highest qualities of life in the world. Are they perfect? Of course not. Nowhere's perfect. There is no utopia. If you're looking for utopia, bad news. You're not going to find it. It doesn't exist. But there's definitely better than the US. And guess what? In France, they have one of the highest qualities of life in the world. Why? Because they don't tolerate it. They don't tolerate anything. They literally, I mean, the last time they were trying to reverse the retirement age a little bit, they were gonna bring it from 64 to 62. You know what they did in France? They covered a politician's house in shit. Literally, they got a big thing of shit. Probably because of that universal healthcare thing. They were like, well, if I get sick by being covered in shit, I can at least go to the doctor. I'll take a shower first. But they covered their houses in shit. And they said, you keep this up, our next move is we're going to burn down a fucking bank. And they got what they wanted. Just saying. That's what they do over there. All right, so here's what they do recently politically. They did a vote of no confidence, which is a thing I wish we could do here in the United States. Let's go to the CNN piece. French Prime Minister to stay on as caretaker after handing in resignation. French Prime Minister Michael Barnier, hope I'm saying that right, submitted his resignation Thursday after losing a vote of no confidence that triggered the collapse of the government and deepened the country's political turmoil. So in France's last election, the left made huge gains. There was a left coalition between, the left flank and the kind of more centrist flank, which is like Macron. And they won handily. However, the right had already had a lot of seats. So when all was said and done, it was kind of evenly distributed. And there was also, even though it was a victory for the left, there was also a little bit of some movement in the far right too. So it wasn't all good news, but it was a fair amount of good news. So the prime minister is kind of a more just regular conservative. So the left doesn't like him. And guess what? The far right doesn't like him either. The far right's like, this guy's not far right enough for us. And the left's like, well, we don't like him either. So this guy just basically appeals to more or less no one. So they did a vote of no confidence, and they were like, well, we're getting rid of you. His is the first French government to be defeated in a no confidence motion since 1962. And he's set now to become France's shortest serving prime minister in history. But Macron still has his back, apparently. Choosing a successor will prove a delicate task, with the increasingly vulnerable president forced to appease lawmakers on both extremes. This is from CNN. So they're going to say that anything that's not just rugged neoliberalism is extreme to them. So by extremes, they mean, the people that help France have a decent way of life. Because the reason they have one of the highest qualities of life in the world, it's not because of the capitalists. It's not because of the right. It's because of socialism. Just is. It's just a fact. Sorry. So Macron had appointed Barnier to lead a minority government after a snap election called by the president in the summer split France's parliament into three factions, each well short of a majority. The situation had immediately appeared untenable, and it collapsed under the first major hurdle on Monday when Barnier was forced to use a constitutional mechanism that bypassed a vote in legislature on his 2025 budget. So they can do a vote of no confidence and literally get people out of there. Let's go to the live updates from The Guardian, because that fascinated me too. Now we're going to go through this in real time because it's probably being updated as we speak here. But all right, so Macron faces worst political crisis of his presidency. Is it the worst though? I mean, he's been around like through the yellow vest thing. He's been around through when they tried to raise the retirement age. I mean, he's been around for some not so great decisions, that guy. I feel like he might not be the best prime minister out there. And by the way, just a side note, Macron, who, by the way, is not great, is very much a centrist to center right. He's still far to the left of anything on the menu for president in the United States. He's to the left of Kamala Harris. He's to the left of Joe Biden. He's certainly to the left of Donald Trump. Just to give you an idea of the freaking scale. All right. So Macron addressed the nation in a 10-minute speech. He did not name a new prime minister, saying he would do so in the coming days. This is pretty funny. All right. He's facing the worst political crisis of his two terms. And he said that there's a sense of chaos. I don't know, man. I think people just don't like what you've been doing, and they're letting you know. I think that's what's happening. It's equal blocks between the left, center, and right, far right, none of which has a majority as of right now, because the left made some huge gains in the last election. I think at the very bottom, there was some kind of protest that's happening. Let's see. People are calling for his resignation, but he's not going to resign. Oh, man. So let's see. I thought there was one other thing I saw there, but I might not. All right, let's go to the let's switch gears a little bit. Let's go to the Ken Klippenstein piece. We've not gone there yet. So to put a button on everything that's going on with UnitedHealthcare, they posted something on Facebook. You may have seen that. They posted something on Facebook about the CEO. They had to turn off comments because all the comments were not very nice. And a lot of the reactions were people laughing and liking and hearting. And, again, I don't like to tread in these waters, but it is saying something when you have a job so evil and you do things that are so evil that strangers all around the world find it okay and appropriate to celebrate when something like that happens to you. And here's something else I believe to be true. You get what you put out in the world. So if you're going to put out that kind of thing into the world, doing something that evil, making tons of money off of the suffering of others, you might get it back. You might get it back. That guy's getting it back. All right, so in light of all that, or in lieu of all that, now they're telling the employees to not talk to anyone. This is from Ken Klippenstein. Let's go to the piece. Let me pull it up on mine as well. Accusation against slain CEO Brian Thompson are part of the story. Media should cover it. UnitedHealthcare wasted no time telling its employees not to talk to the press in the wake of the killing of its CEO Brian Thompson, according to an internal company memo. Thompson had been accused of profiting off of insider selling before an antitrust investigation by the Justice Department was publicly revealed. Part of this story employees say they wish the media would cover. I wish the media would cover that, and I wish the media would say, isn't this a testament to our destructive, predatory, evil healthcare system? But they're never going to look at that part of it. They will never, ever look at that part of it. All the corporate media has done, especially, I mean, you really saw this right out in the open in 2016. All the propaganda they had against Medicare for All. All the propaganda. Jake Tapper going out there pretending he doesn't know how a universal healthcare system will work. Misleading people, doing the false framing of like, oh, Medicare for All will cause your taxes to go up. Yeah, technically, yes, because you'd be paying for your health care as part of your taxes. Now it's not part of your taxes. You pay a for-profit predatory company instead. With Medicare for All being a universal system, you would pay it as part of your taxes. So the amount would be less. The amount would be less. It would just be part of your taxes. That's like saying, oh, hey, you're paying $300 for a car payment. With this system, you'd be paying $150 for your car payment, and you'd have a better car, but your taxes would go up because the $150 would go to the government instead of some company that wants to exploit you and doesn't care if you're dead or not. So you better not take that option and just keep paying the $300. That's what Jake Tapper sold to the American people, and they bought it. They freaking bought it. It's amazing, the propaganda around healthcare. It's amazing. And hopefully we're finally starting as a nation to wake up from it. I don't know if we are or not. But all right, so let's get back to this. You can tell they really just want us to shut up and not acknowledge it. A source within the company told me. Supervisors are afraid to speak up. This is Ken Klippenstein, by the way. Speakers are afraid to speak up about the corruption for fear of losing our jobs. It's like we're being forced to lionize Brian instead of analyze who he was. By the way, it's not, side note, it's not speaking ill of the dead to accurately talk about who they were. It's not speaking ill of the dead or speaking ill of this Brian Thompson by saying the way he made a living was evil beyond comprehension. And the things that he did were evil beyond comprehension. And thousands of people die every year because of what he and people like him do. And he's shamelessly a part of it and doesn't care. That's not speaking ill. That's just being accurate. You don't have to pretend somebody was something they weren't. And I know it's nauseating when that happens, especially in the political arena. I know it's nauseating when people would pretend that Ronald Reagan was a great guy, that John McCain was a great guy. Anyway, all right, let's get back to this. Put a period on it. Yeah. So supervisors are afraid to speak up. United's communications department did not respond to a request for comment. In an internal video statement sent to employees, CEO of United Health Group, Andrew Whitty said, Brian was a truly extraordinary person who touched the lives of countless people throughout our organization and beyond. Interesting. We don't need to watch the video. That quote's enough. I don't need to see this guy have a video. Rank and file employees at UnitedHealthcare tell a different story. Whoa. Okay. Thompson took massive payouts while we at the bottom had to work harder and longer. Meanwhile, Witty brought in AI to learn from us. So they have the money for AI and massive bonuses, but we're still using software that is massively behind the industry standard. They've been lying to us. Resentment for Thompson was widespread at the company, the employee said, citing an internal company announcement about his death that only garnered 28 comments, despite being seen by 16,000 employees. So that's not even the Facebook thing. That was an internal company announcement. Imagine that. 16,000 employees. You're the CEO. 28 people say something. Now, other people reacted, but look at that. It looks like only 353 people. That's still a terrible. I mean, that's the CEO. Wow. All right. In a July earnings call, Witty touted the firm's investment in artificial intelligence. Now, that's what we covered earlier in the show, that artificial intelligence applied an algorithm to deny people life-saving care. And as a result, UnitedHealthcare denied more claims than any other predatory company. So they're the most predatory of the predatory. And they said, oh, that's going to will generate billions of dollars. Didn't say it would make healthcare better for anyone. They said it'll generate us billions of dollars. This AI we're using to deny people care that they need. We're going to make billions. It's just amazing that this goes on in what we're supposed to. We're told this is a civilized society. We're told the United States is a first world country. Yet this kind of stuff happens. Thompson's death, nevertheless, has provoked widespread condemnation of the company, of the insurance industry, which will undoubtedly result in efficiencies that lay off workers and amplify the inequities of insurance-driven healthcare. UnitedHealthcare, which employs more than 10% of the American population, which insures more than 10% of the American population, made $8.9 billion in profit through the first 3 quarters of this year. Company financial disclosures show that Thompson's annual compensation, including bonuses, was $10.2 million. In March, Thompson was sued by a firefighter's pension, accusing him of selling off $15 million in company stock during a Justice Department antitrust investigation. Ken Klippenstein wrote about that yesterday. The UnitedHealthcare employee also criticized Thompson's reported sale of $5.6 million in company stock the same day as news of a ransomware attack plunged the stock's value by 8%. So this guy was doing insider trading. He had insider stock tips too. Ken Klippenstein says, I've taken a lot of heat for reporting critically on Thompson. I've been accused of being insensitive or worse, condoning his murder. I do not. I just don't believe it's the job of a journalist to withhold facts because they're uncomfortable. I agree. Sadly, much of the major media are doing exactly that, and they always do, whether death is involved or not. USA Today began one of its stories on Thompson's killing, describing him as a well-liked executive, a Midwesterner, and a father, before lamenting how he became a meme and a source of ridicule on social media. Again, the people tone policing, they will tone police the people denied life-saving care. Just saying. Don't the accusations of profiteering and disregard for workers at least merit a passing mention, even just as context to perhaps understand the killing? The major media might find it distasteful that so many are taking to social media to express their contempt for the health insurance industry. Meanwhile, as the leaked email shows, the company is trying its hardest to control the narrative to the benefit of the company. All right. So, guys, we're going to go to the super chat in a little bit here. But before we do, I'll make a couple announcements. You know, the theme around this show is today's show was healthcare and the healthcare crisis. I wanted to see healthcare be in the spotlight again. So I wrote a screenplay about it that we decided to launch as a play, and we're going to film it as well. It's called Termination Fee. It's going to be my next production, and we're going to be premiering part 1 of it in Los Angeles on December 15th. For anyone in the LA, you can come to a night of stand-up comedy, and then we're going to be doing part 1 of my new stage play, Termination Fee, and then we're going to be doing a Q&A after. It is a scathing commentary on the American healthcare system. You can get tickets at my website, ronplacone.com, and get them there. Get them at ronplacone.com because from my website, they're a little bit cheaper. So yeah, get them there. So anyone in the Los Angeles area, December 15th, 7 p.m., Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank, a night of stand-up comedy. I'm going to be there. Sarah K. Godot is going to be there. Andrew Saxon is going to be there. Graham Elwood is going to be there. And then we're going to be doing part 1 of the play. It's going to be a really cool event. There's going to be a bunch of healthcare activists there. So you'll get to meet some cool people. Have a fun night of entertainment. Yeah, ronplacone.com for tickets. So there you go. Check it out, ronplacone.com for those tickets. And let's go to the super chats. What do we got? Super sticker, 3 hearts of differing sizes. Thank you for that, Thomas. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for that. Jeremy, what's up? Good to see you. Not all heroes wear capes. Some wear gray backpacks. All right. Thank you for the super chat, Jeremy. Tony D, what's up, man? My heart breaks for these poor workers for Amazon and Whole Foods. I hope for a better future for these workers. We need unions. Ron Placone. I'm with you, Tony. I agree that we need unions. Let's see. Larry, what's up, Larry? Glad I found your channel. Great job on the video. Nice to see someone calling it like it is. Thank you so much for that, Larry. Thank you for the super chat. You help keep this show on the air. Very, very much appreciated. Brenda, member for 4 months. Thank you so much for your membership. I just received an email from the lever that the Anthem thing is reversed. Yes, we covered that. We got the statements from Connecticut and then later New York. I'd heard about Connecticut before we went live. And then the New York thing was probably updated during the stream, and then we saw it later. So yeah, it looks like they're just calling it off completely, which is good. Thank you so much for sharing that. So yeah, that's good. That's a good thing. I mean, it's sad that a lot of times when we report on good things, it's basically, well, a really evil thing didn't happen. It's not like, oh, the contemporary situation got better, but it's, oh, this really shitty thing got rolled back. But you got to take the wins that you can and then keep going forward, right? Teresa, what's up? So good to see you. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate you. Thank you for that, Teresa. I appreciate you as well. Thank you very, very much for that. Howdy, brother. Still touring. Thank you so much for that, the General. I'm going to have to bring that back. I haven't said it in a long time. But howdy to you. Thank you so much for that. I don't tour as much as I used to. This year I was very busy with screenings of my movie, which by the way, my movie Left at Wall should be available for everyone very soon. We did a screening run of it and a festival run of it, and now we're moving on to the distribution portion. As soon as I have news, you will all know, but you should all be able to see Left at Wall very, very soon. Left at Wall went after Wall Street. This next thing, termination fee, goes after the health insurance industry. But yeah, to make a long answer longer, this year I did a lot of events for the movie, so I was not touring as much. I did go to London with the movie, and we also did a screening here in Los Angeles and Idlewild in Pittsburgh, and then there were some screenings in other cities where I wasn't actually there. But yeah, so I hope to be touring a little bit more in 2025. We're going to be touring with this stage play. We're going to be filming it as a movie, and we're also going to be doing it as a stage play and touring with it. So I should have some 2025 dates soon. And if you want to see me in your town, email me, ronplacone.com. Let me know where you're at. Tell me you want to see me there, and I'll see what I can do. I'm starting to plan out 2025 dates now. So let me know where you want to see me. Jeremy, you're back. What's up? If you haven't yet, everyone, get the book. Was at the signing in Flint and got a copy. Well done. Shit's basically been stopped in terms of upgrades on water here. Amen. Yeah, Jordan Cheriton did an amazing job with his book on Flint. I've not read the whole thing myself yet, but I've seen parts of it, and he did an incredible job. The coverage on Flint that Status Coup has done is amazing, and yeah, Status Coup was just one of the outlets to not let that story die. So yeah, thank you for that, Jeremy. Always awesome to hear from you. Arlene, how are you? Thank you so much for the super chat. Glad you're doing a play about healthcare, Ron. Shakespearean truth-telling style. Thank you for that, Arlene. I appreciate that so much. I'm not sure if you're in Los Angeles, but if you are, I hope you can come out on the 15th and check out part 1 of it. It's going to be a really, really good time. And yeah, it might be, it's going to be going around the country a little bit. We'll see what happens with it next, but we're trying to plan out some festival stuff. Presents. I'm making t-shirts. Justice for Brian Thompson. All right. All righty. All right. Thank you for that, Presents. Do we have any more? Is that the duration?
That's all. Yeah. All right. That's
Thank you
all
so
of them.
much.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right, y'all. Well, thank you guys so much for being part of this. Again, December 15th. Oh, and I will mention one other thing real quick. My podcast, 1000 with Ron Placone, which you can just check out on my YouTube channel. Podcasts get uploaded to YouTube now, so you can just get it right from my YouTube channel. But my podcast this week called 1000. It's a podcast where I interview 1000 people that have inspired me. So it's a life journey, if you will, where I go on a quest to interview 1,000 people that have inspired my life or interest me in some way. And my guest this week is Tina Desiree Berg. So it's a very Status Coup centric episode because I interview Tina. A lot of you guys know Tina as a badass journalist, which she is a badass journalist. But a lot of you may or may not know much about the woman behind the work. And I get Tina to open up about a lot of things in her life. She talks about her acting career. She talks about growing up. She talks about her experiences in school. So it's kind of cool to get to know her a little better. She doesn't like to talk about herself that much. So we get to have more of an episode covering her story. So it's a really fun episode. Please check it out. 1000 with Ron Placone, wherever you get your podcasts, and you can also get it here on YouTube. And check out some of the other episodes too, if you'd like. It's my podcast. I'm really proud of it. And yeah, guys, again, if you want to support on the ground journalism, you can do so over statuscoup.com/join. We do on the ground journalism here. That's what we do. It's part of who we are. We covered East Palestine. We were one of the only outlets on the ground in East Palestine. We were the only outlet in the world to be at the UAW strike for the duration of it. We've covered how many Palestine protests has it been, Colin? I think it's like it's been a lot.
It's over 100.
Over 100.
I forget the exact number.
Over 100 is good enough, I think. I think that gets it across. Over 100. On the ground journalism is what we do. We tell the story of the people. That's why I'm here, y'all. Y'all know that. I had planned on walking away from the YouTube space entirely a couple years ago. I just wanted to move on to other things for a lot of reasons. But when Jordan approached me about doing stuff with Status Coup, I realized I really like the way Status Coup is dedicated to on the ground journalism. I appreciate that. So that's something I'm down to be part of. And that's why I'm here. And it's awesome to be here, and it's awesome to see all of you, and it's awesome to be part of this community. So I'm really, really happy to be here. I'm really, really excited for the new year, for Status Coup and beyond. And I know things are bleak right now. I know there's a lot to be concerned about right now, and that's putting it gently. But we got each other. We got our communities. We got a working class that's starting to come together. We got people in Whole Foods trying to unionize. There's been greater union efforts than there has been in 50 years in this country. That's not nothing. And Status Coup is one of the outlets that's telling those stories. So I'm glad to be here. Glad to be part of this. Colin, what's up?
And also, Jordan just
Colin, you're muted.
I still muted?
No, you're on now. You were not coming in. Now you're coming in.
Jordan wanted to mention we're actually going to be trying to go to North Carolina to cover the hurricane victims that are still haven't gotten help and are sleeping in tents currently as we enter this really cold winter. So if you guys are able to, we need funding for these on the ground trips. If you guys are new here, these cost around $4,000 to $5,000 per trip we do to cover these stories. And so becoming a member at statuscoup.com/join helps a lot. If you're already a member, you can donate as well at statuscoup.com/donate. Any amount from $5 to and up. It helps a lot with these trips, but that's our next reporting trip that we're trying to do is North Carolina to cover lack of help for all these victims of Hurricane Helene and more.
Yeah. Hurricane Helene left people without power. They left people, homes were decimated, and nothing's really been done in many cases. There are some people that still have not, gotten the help they need. So yeah, Status Coup is going to go on the ground and tell those stories. So y'all, if you can become a member, statuscoup.com/join. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you have a wonderful weekend.